I have no idea how I filmed this entire video without mentioning this, but MEESH the Bad Demon is officially in bookstores and online to shop right now, so please check out your online bookstore if you would like to get a copy of the book, or even your local bookstore if you're in the United States right now. So yeah, this is pretty much a huge milestone for me as an artist. You've been following me most likely since I was either just a kid or even a teenager going through college, and then now here I am as an adult reflecting on my time. So if you are in the area on March 25th, Saturday, which is basically tomorrow if you're watching this video on Friday, we're going to be at VROMAN'S bookstore doing a little bit of a signing, a little bit author chit chat, and yeah, so if you're into graphic novels and you love a character-driven story, please check out MEESH the Bad Demon down in the description box below, and thanks for watching this video. So today we're going to be talking about sketchbooks. So some of you who have found my channel probably knew me originally from my sketchbook tours or my sketchbooks in general, and I feel like, you know, my sketchbooks were definitely a really big part of my life and this channel. Unfortunately, I have not really been able to start a sketchbook in a while again, just because I have a lot of other projects occupying my time now, but sketchbooks during that time in my life were what really helped me to do what I am now. So in today's video, I'm gonna list out a few exercises or practices that you can do within your sketchbook that will both make it look good, but also practice your art at the same time, because I feel like people always worry about just practicing and then making their spreads look bad, but then also people probably worry about just making it look pretty, but then questioning if it's really helping their learning practice. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing 15 different exercises you can do in your sketchbook, and I'm going to show you how I will lay it out and do it so that when you follow along with me, you can literally be doing the same thing as I am, but also replacing what I'm drawing with your own, you know, character, person, animal, whatever. For the sake of just keeping this video concise and simple, I will be using my cat Moon Pie as the theme of this sketchbook video. But before I get too deep into that, I first wanted to thank the sponsor of today's video. Just Sketch Me is a 3D modeling tool for anyone who's in need of reference poses or camera angles to help plan and create their art faster. Sometimes you can't find the right references for your art, but you can set up your characters, props, and camera angles using the app, which is available on iOS, Mac, Windows, Android, as well as in browser. Just Sketch Me is pretty much free to use, but you can upgrade to get more models, access to the pose library, and other additional features. So for me as a story artist, I'm always looking for more interesting camera angles. It's very easy to visualize things on eye level, but it's not like extreme camera angles are always available as a reference. So for me, I love being able to lay out a scene and play out with different camera angles that could help me become a better storyboard artist, and I'll also probably be using this tool in the future for comics as well. Again, Just Sketch Me is available for free with no time limits, and you can sign up with the link in the description box below to start creating. Thanks again to Just Sketch Me for sponsoring this video. So whenever I approach my sketchbook, I just always like to start off with realistic studies, and that is the way that I form my understanding of what it is that I'm trying to draw, and I can start from a place where I'm familiar with how this thing actually looks like in real life if I have to draw it in that way. So I'm going to draw Moon Pie in her realistic way. I'm just drawing her as she is and just doing studies of who she is as a cat. And by doing this, it helps me really like hold on to certain of her characteristics or notice certain things about her that when I draw, like I could be like, oh, it's really cute how her eyes are round, but the fur on the tip corner of her eyes kind of look like little eyelashes. Like that's something that could go into play later. I love how she just has a really round face and just a small little snout. It's just something that I observe when I draw. After I make observations like that, we're going to move on to the next exercise, which is facial studies. So facial studies are kind of more when you're focusing more on the face of the subject matter, whether it's an animal or a person, because you know, while the whole body is definitely important, expressions or emotions are going to be important if you're someone who might be working in the animation gaming world and you want to really be able to be good at expressing character emotions. You're going to have to familiarize yourself with a lot of the facial features of the subject that you are drawing so that you know how to later on distort them to either portray certain emotions. And then afterwards, we're gonna move on to doing a pose study of her whole body, which again, like, this is similar to the realistic study, but I would say the pose study is more quick. You don't need to be as detailed with her. You can just draw the cat or whatever it is that you're drawing just quickly and just kind of more so focus on the silhouette and the gesture of it, so that, you know, when you're doing storyboarding or animation or something in that world, this is where it's going to be really important to understand how to draw things really quickly so that you can just get the gesture down and move on. So then next, we're going to move on to more isolated studies, which are when you focus on other more specific areas of the subject that you're drawing. And for me, I'm going to focus on Moon Pie's paws and her eyes. I like to reserve spaces for where I'm going to be doing this exercise, and I feel like I like to keep some of them all on the same page because this is the space where I'm practicing drawing my cat realistically, all in one spread. So then next, we're going to start fictionalizing her. We're going to characterize her and draw the cartoon version of her. So based on everything that I just did on the previous spread of drawing her realistically, I'm going to then now start exaggerating her in the form of a cartoon. So for me, I am a person in the animation industry who, you know, works in storyboarding, and that's going to be really my focus of why I am going to draw in a certain way. I'm going to be drawing more simplified. I'm going to be making her a little bit more cartoony. And then after we do a fictionalized version of her, we're now going to do a character sheet of her facial expressions. So this is, again, you're going to see why a lot of the things are starting to connect together. So we first did a realistic study of her, and we did a facial study of her realistically, and now we're doing the fictionalized facial studies of her, because now we're going to take what we know from her drawing her facial features and her face, and we're going to now make it into a character. These are character sheets that you will actually see that character designers or people in animation submit in their portfolios, or they have to do it for their jobs. And then afterwards, just like we mentioned above, we did a pose study of her realistically. Now we're gonna do the cartoon version of her poses. So, you know, when you're drawing realistic stuff, so for me, I'm gonna be taking away details because, again, I'm in storyboarding, animation, comics, that world, which means I have to continue simplifying characters to be able to draw them faster, quicker, and incorporating them in, you know, a lot of multiple drawings. But if you're someone who's maybe doing fantasy illustration or something, maybe this is your time to really just go all out with all of those details. Then next, we're gonna play the fitting them into shapes idea. So this is kind of a little bit more irrelevant to the previous exercises we were doing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just choose random objects from within our household, or just choose your basic shapes that you know, like triangle, circle, square, and you're going to fit your character or fit the subject that you've been drawing into these shapes. So what is the point of this exercise? Why do people do this? Sometimes this can also be a way of extremely simplifying a complex subject that you know into very simplified shapes, so that even if you're doing an animated project where maybe the style of the show is extremely simplified, it's very geometric, it's very minimalistic, maybe you might be needing to learn how to draw characters in these very alternate, unique ways. Then next, we're going to practice designing various iterations of her pattern. So Moon Pie is a mackerel tabby, as some may say, but she is also just a striped cat, to put it into simple terms. So, you know, when you say striped cats, Many different people have different ideas of what striped could look like, so this is a good time to be playing with how different versions of her stripes could look like. You could kind of be doing whatever you want in this moment. What you're basically doing is spitting out different versions of the same idea to show different options. This is going to be very common in not just storyboarding and animation, but just design, illustration as well. So now we're migrating from just doing designs and now we're doing compositions of her. So now we're kind of going back to doing realistic studies of moon pie. You can base this off of real life photos, videos with your own pets, animals, people you know in your life, where you're gonna now compose them in a scene. You know, we've been drawing floating versions of these characters for a while, but it's kind of good to break out of the habit of drawing floating characters, or you're just establishing some sort of narrative once you include a background, because now you're saying where this character is, what she's doing. So I'm just going to be drawing moon pie in different settings and sceneries based around my household. These could be from, again, photos or videos, but the point of this is to incorporate backgrounds and kind of compose a scene. Maybe think about composition in these moments, because these will come into play when you are a storyboard artist, comic artist especially. We're gonna be now doing fictionalized versions of these compositions, because once you do the realistic ones, you can now fictionalize them for comics or storyboards. So for me personally, I'm a comic artist, so this is when it's going to be important for me to, you know, incorporate my cat into drawings of my room, my kitchen, my office. And if you're not a comic artist, or if you're not anything like that, just think of this as a good exercise of maybe doing singular illustrations if you have to do like posters, book covers, or things like that. Or if you are somebody who is a designer, maybe this is a good chance for you to practice designing backgrounds along with how the character would look like in that space. We're now all gonna just deconstruct everything we did all over again, and now we're gonna do a thumbnails or storyboard pass of a story idea, or even a writing pass if that is something that you just really don't want to do. So I feel like sequential and narrative art is still going to be really important, even as a designer or somebody who is focused on just doing singular illustrations. When you're thumbnailing and storyboarding these things out, you're going to take note of what are the elements within these certain scenes that are going to be needed to be further fleshed out or designed. And that's what's going to be important about thumbnailing, is you have a very quick opportunity to do a very quick path to know just what is needed in each shot or scene before you fully commit to them. So it's also a really great exercise for if you're applying to animation school. People want to see the way that you think, your thought process, and your ideas, and doing a thumbnail pass of a story idea you have is a really great way to demonstrate that. Then next, we're still gonna do some thumbnails, but we're gonna do some cover ideas, like a movie or a book. So the reason why I'm including this exercise is because there might be a day in life where your project might blow up and become something bigger than it is, and you're gonna have to be thinking about promotional art for it. And this is also for anyone too who is watching this video and is more interested in creating art for marketing or promotions. This is a good place to kind of practice that as well. So when you do movie posters and stuff, this is where all your hero poses come in. This is where frontal faces of your characters come in. You're kind of thinking about ways to really market and promote your art to people in a very appealing way. So I feel like doing covers and posters are actually very fun to just visualize your ideas in a way where, hey, if it was like, you know, a movie, this is what it would look like. It's just a very fun way to romanticize the things you've been drawing. So why not just do some exercises in your book so that, you know, if the day comes where you do need to start making some book cover ideas, which is something I actually had to do before, it's something that you've already practiced and done. So now we're going to move on to abstracting what you're drawing. So when you're abstracting what you're drawing, you're kind of, you know, altering it, making it very different from what it originally was. Like, you know, moon pie is a tabby cat. So things that you could think of might be like making your cat just really weird and just adding these certain weird elements with her. Like, you know, maybe you might not really see a purpose with why these drawings might be created, but maybe it might be very useful for a tattoo artist, or maybe this thing would be really useful for, again, if you're doing a design for a product or marketing, and this could just be one of the graphic elements associated with this brand. I don't know. You're just really abstractifying this certain subject that you've been drawing into all of these infinite possibilities that you could think of. And then lastly, you know, I was making up my own words and saying abstractify. Now I'm gonna say productify. So we're gonna now be making product ideas out of our subject matter, because I'm not trying to turn this into any sort of capitalistic message at the end of the day. I swear, it just kind of, I feel like this is the more appropriate place to put it, because, you know, after you learn to draw these things, you want to know what you can do with these things in the future. So, you know, for example, once you learn how to draw a cat, maybe you might eventually develop this cat brand or this cat Etsy shop, but you might want to think about what are the things you could be selling on your Etsy shop with your illustrations of your cat in a way that looks good. Like maybe she might look good on a mug, a book, a bag, a shirt, I don't know. Well, here's your chance to brainstorm some ideas of illustrations or ideas that could look good on a product, and then you can further flesh out these illustrations later. But I feel like this was one of the things I learned when I first started my Etsy shop. I came from a storyboarding animation background, and I had no idea how to approach creating products for a shop. But now that I have experimented and gone through some trial and error with some of my first few products, I feel like now when I approach my Etsy shop again, I would definitely take a thumbnail pass of product ideas I have before just randomly selecting a mug or randomly selecting a sweater to just place or slap my art on. Anyway, I hope this video gave you guys some ideas of things you could be practicing in your sketchbook if you don't know what to draw, if you're thinking about things you want to further improve on, or if you're trying to get into a different sort of art topic. Thank you for watching this video. Please remember to comment, like, and subscribe to this channel if you would like to see more videos about how to pursue art as a full-time career or create art that will benefit you as a full-time artist. So yeah, thanks for watching this video again, and I will see you all in the next one.